Great, let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to the annual report party 2025. Of course, we're working on our 2024 reports this year. And we have a handful of new directors. So any new directors or anybody that hasn't done the report in the past, please call me with questions, email me with questions. That's what we're here for. So we're here to support you as you work your way through your first annual report. So housekeeping before we get started. Please have yourself on mute if you're joining us via Zoom. For the first part of the day, we're gonna review due dates, changes and improvements to the annual report. We'll go over some report highlights. These are really the sections that the state looks at carefully. And they're areas that I review carefully before we submit your report to the state. And then we'll do a question and answer. After that, we'll break for lunch. Anybody that wants to stay for cheese pizza can. And then after that, you're welcome to stay until 4:30 and work on the annual report. If you're here today, our Wi-Fi is Training Lab and the password is Reading One. We have coffee in our break room and there's water and some refreshments down here at the end of the room. And our restroom is down the long hall, almost to the door, and it's on the right hand side. I should introduce myself briefly just in case. I'm Pamela Del Signor, the System Services Coordinator, Support Coordinator. I'm the one that reviews all the annual reports before we submit them to the state. Colleen Smith also supports us and is helpful in answering questions, so you can reach out to either one of us. She's also, I won't say, good at finances, but she is. So remember the why. Why do we do the annual report? So essentially, the legalese of it is that it's required by the state of New York. But it's also an excellent opportunity to review the successes that your library had throughout the year. You can look at the reports from year to year. You can see if your programming is increasing, if your attendance is increasing, what your budget looks like, even where some of your dollars are going, how much you're taking in, how much you're dispersing. But it's important to know that if it's not submitted for 2 years in a row, you're at risk of having your charter rescinded or suspended. That's never been the case that I've seen. Everybody is really, really good about getting the reports done on time so that we can submit them. It's never been an issue. If anybody feels they're in a position where that might be a problem, please reach out to us and we'll help you get it done. Due dates. So SALS has to review all 34 member library reports before we submit them to the state. So we need time to go through all of those reports. And if I'm being honest, I do the majority of it. So if you think of one person going through 34 reports, that's why the due date is February 9th, even though we don't have to submit it to the state until March 1st. So that gives me time to carefully go through and review everything, get back to you, suggest changes, and sometimes there's some back and forth and it takes a little bit of time. That being said, it needs to be reviewed by your board and approved. And question 1241, they're going to look for a date that the board approved the report. A lot of our libraries don't have their February board meeting until later in February, so that's fine. I'm asking that you put your board meeting date on the annual report, submit it to me by February 9th, and then after your board approves it, or if they don't approve it, if they approve it, it's fine, the date's on there and we can carry on and I can submit it. So I understand that that date is going to, and you can put it in there, but you have to put a date in there. You can't put no date in there. You won't be able to submit it to me if you don't. So I understand that I'm asking for it a little bit early. And in some cases, I think our libraries are going to actually be able to submit it to the board for the January meeting. I'm going to be submitting and make sure that every single report is submitted on February 28th, because their due date is March 1st and it's a Saturday and they don't work on Saturday. If you need your username and password for the report, please let me know. It's one username and password for each library. So if you have more than one person working on the report, they'll need to use the same username and password. Helpful tools. So earlier last week or the week before, I sent out the annual report announcement that they were open with a lot of attachments in it. So those are the helpful tools that are on this list, with the exception of a couple. So it includes the outline of major changes. This is provided by the state. It includes the Polaris report. This is done by your system. This has some data on it, so some numbers or some answers to questions that we're asking you to, like, maybe reply yes or no to some of the questions. If anything doesn't look right, or if you're not sure about it, reach out, question it, let us know. Also includes the grant payments for member libraries. On this report, please be mindful that this is calendar year. And if your library has a different fiscal year, say June to July, you need to pay heed to the dates that are at the top. So some of you may have to gather some information off of last year's grant payments to member libraries, if that's the case, and you can't find it, I have it, I can send it to you. Or some of this information you may have to hold until next year. I also provided in the email an FTE calculator. That's full-time equivalent calculator. It's a helpful tool for answering parts 11, 12, and 13, 14. And the financials Excel worksheet. If you're comfortable working in Excel, you can do all of your finances in that Excel worksheet before entering anything into the report. If you can get that worksheet to balance, then it's really easy just to plug the numbers into the report after. The annual report statistics. This is one that I can't send to everybody. So they are on the J8 intranet, and I'll show you very soon how to locate those, but it looks like this one. And last year's annual report, you may find it helpful to print out last year's report and have it next to you. But in Baker Taylor, the program, you can, all that information is already in there, and I'll show you how to access it. So that's optional. Annual report instructions are also in Collect Connect, and they have an excellent help document in Collect Connect. I will show, we'll go over all of that. So on the J8 intranet, I mentioned the library statistical report. In the email that I sent announcing that the reports are open, there's a link to the J8 intranet. I believe you use your email, username, and password to get in. And then these are the, can you see that? Yeah, these are the areas that you can click on to find them. But once you find this down here, it'll say 2024 member library, Sal's libraries, it'll open up the list, and then you can access your report right here. Major changes. I was really excited about major changes this year. I'll tell you why. So library collections has always kind of been complicated because of how they want you to count the e-materials. Some e-materials were counted via circulation, and some e-materials were counted via holdings. It's all circulation now. It's way less complicated, it's way less confusing. Those questions for e-materials that used to be in part 2 have all been moved to part 5. So it's a major improvement. Didn't need to do all that. Hold on. Here we go. So part 5 has a bunch of yes/no questions, and I included that on the Polaris report. How I think our library should answer them. This is because it's new. if you have any questions about it, or you don't necessarily agree with what I'm asking you to answer, let me know, let's talk about it, because maybe what I have on here isn't correct for the library. What else did I want to say about this? Yeah. Major improvement. So that was, I was really relieved when that happened, but I was also really excited to see what the what the state did with the annual report itself. It maneuvers exactly the same. If you haven't been in it yet, it maneuvers almost exactly the same as it did before, but it's even more user friendly. It's much user friendly, much more user friendly. So I'm gonna go through these quickly. More than one person can work in the survey at a time. We used to tell you not to do that. You can do that now. When you log in, when you go into the report, it's gonna ask you for your name, your phone number, and your email. They're not gonna do anything with that information. If a second person logs in, they're also gonna be asked for that. And what it does is the email and phone number makes it possible for two users in the report to contact each other to make sure that you're not both working on the same thing at the same time and changing each other's answers. So one person might be entering program questions, the other person might be doing finances. It's great. It'll saving. It also, for the most part, throughout the report, automatically saves and automatically calculates. You used to have to hit save in order to get the calculations to happen. You don't anymore. It does that. But we did discover yesterday that, and I'll show you status, there's a status section. If you're in the status section, it doesn't auto-save. You can answer questions right in status. At the bottom, you have to save. The state is still recommending that you hit save. The save buttons are still in there. They're still recommending, since it's the first time this auto-save is really kind of new for the report, that you hit save, because they don't want you to lose your information. Default will be to show last year's answers. So if you don't want to see last year's report answers, you have to turn that function off. It's optional. History icon will show previous 5 years, which is pretty cool. I'll show you that. Edit checks will show up in the survey next to your questions, in addition to the status section. Printing and reviewing PDF and web reports work reliably for readability. They do suggest that if you choose the web printout, it is easier for accessibility if you later post it on your website. Like as your annual report, you post it on your website, and you need websites now have to be accessible to everybody. You want to print that one and post that one in your website. I guess that one is better. Some fields will sum as you enter data and show if you have not entered all of the data, including in that sum. There has been a webinar out, send this PowerPoint out. There was a webinar on all of these changes, and there's a link right there to their webinar. So this is what it looks like, but I want to actually go to it. So I'm opening up Argyle's report. Argyle gets picked on all the time.
We're first.
Because you're first, because you're at the top. So I'm in your report often, sorry. If something doesn't want, if something looks screwy, blame it on me and let me know.
That's a get out of jail free card.
Pamela did it.
So I'm not sure. It says another user is currently active within the survey. I'm guessing that's
That's
you.
me.
Fantastic. So I can see that there's somebody else in there. That's new. You can go to your dashboard. I believe this is where you can see prior years. Oh, right now it's showing a lot of information.
Yeah, it shows all the questions that have to be answered, which ones you've answered and which ones. you
Yeah, but because I'm in here as a system reviewer, I think it's showing all the libraries. So your dashboard is not gonna look the same as mine.
I think mine did.
Did it?
Yeah, it listed all the questions in the survey.
Okay.
Cause I was poking around yesterday. making sure I could get into it. And it shows me all the questions and it says whether or not I
What you've
which
completed.
questions I've completed and which ones are incomplete.
Cool.
And it shows you, there's a column for notes too, and errors and questions that are flagged too, so
Excellent.
that's helpful.
FAQ is about how to use Collect Connect. Instructions, this is how to answer your questions. And you'll see here federally required question numbers are marked in red below, so that's mostly what the red questions are. So this is data that the state is collecting and they're gonna use it for their report to the federal government. This brings up a good point. New questions are optional for the first year. So that's what I was thinking of part 5 that I couldn't remember before. And I'll probably repeat myself later, but because they're new questions, you're never required to answer them the first year. They're super easy to answer and it's helpful if you do. So please make an attempt to answer them if you can.
Pamela, can you hear us?
I can.
We cannot see your screen at all. So is it something that you can share in the Zoom so that we can also see it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was sharing my screen. You could see it before I went to Collect Connect.
Nope, we haven't seen it at all.
Alrighty. I'm gonna zip through them real quick for our folks online. You didn't, I guess, hopefully you didn't miss much. So welcome to the report. This is what we're doing today. Remember why important the New York State reports are important. Our due dates. February 9th to the system so that we can submit it by February 28th. This is a list of the helpful tools that I reviewed. Where to find them and what report sections they're helpful for. This is what the JA internet page looks like so that you can find your library's Polaris data. These are the major changes. I'm sorry you had to just look at me this whole time. So
Yeah.
sorry.
I've got no internet connection on my laptop.
Go back to the Wi-Fi.
Well, if I knew how to do it, I would. Oh,
These are the major improvements in Connect
You mean
Net
the
that I
PDF
just
and web
reviewed.
report.
If I go to. Can you still see my screen? The general library information should be up.
Yes.
Thank you. So I was starting to show what the updated Collect Connect looks like. Up here is where it says another user is currently active in the survey. And then between these parentheses, it should give you the email and the phone number so you can reach them if you need to talk to them. Frequently asked questions. Shows how to use Baker and Taylor, the Collect Connect program. Instructions, this is like a 42-page document that shows you how to answer each question or has information on each question. It's super helpful, but I'll show you another way to locate this information. And then help is again, how to use a step-by-step guide for using the new Collect Connect update. On the instructions, this is also where the outline of major changes can be located. It's hard to find that unless you know where to look. Go back to the survey. Did you go there? Looks like I've lost my connection. There we go. So you have these new menus up at the top and then down here, here's status. So this is before you submit, you can go to status and it'll show you all the questions that aren't answered yet. If there's any flags, you can actually answer. You may have 2 questions that haven't been answered. You can answer them here. You don't have to go back to the report and find this. But when you're done, the important thing on the status is to scroll all the way down and click save at the bottom or you're gonna lose it. You can export it to Excel, you can print the report, and this is the magic submit button. There's the old save button. You can use, I believe it's at the top of the page and the bottom of the page. They're asking that you continue to use that, but it should be auto saving for you as you go through the report. Here's what I like. Let's pick up another section. And we'll use this one. So this is Argyle down here. You can flag any question. This flag is for you. It's not for the state. So if you're like, I need to come back to this, I don't have the information right now, you can flag it. And then when you try to submit it, it'll be like, hey, you have a flag so that you'll know to go back, answer that question or change the answer that you have. A note is, we'll go over notes later. The state does look out at notes. These notes aren't for your personal use. It's not to say, oh, I found this answer in so-and-so report. This is actually a note for the state. So they ask you to please not use it as a personal notepad. And then history is my favorite, one of my favorite new things. So you can hit history and see exactly how you answered all the way back to 2018. The rest of it functions the same as before. So some helpful tips if you need a reminder or haven't done the report in the past. Fiscal year versus calendar year. So it's very important to read every single question's heading instructions. Because especially if you don't report on a calendar, either way, if you don't report on a calendar year. So if you're reporting, you need to answer the question the way they're asking you to. So say you have a different fiscal year, June, July, they could be telling you to answer it as of December 31st. So it's important to do what they're asking you to do, not necessarily what your library's fiscal year is. Watch out for renumbering from last year. They have made some changes. If you are comfortable in Excel, you can use my worksheet for the financial parts. Notes. So last year, there were only a few things the state came back to. Everybody did such a fantastic job on their reports that they only came back with a handful of libraries, and it was simple notes that they just needed. That's all they needed. They were like, they reported 0 in 2022, and now they're reporting 1 million. We need a note. We need to know why, what changed. So large changes from last year, if your counts are exactly the same as last year, like say your patrons that visited your library is exactly the same, they might question that, like that's just not even possible. You just copied last year's answer. A change to 0 or from 0, or if last year you reported that you didn't have a director and this year you did, maybe a note needs to go in there. You must resolve any triggered edits received, and you must also answer all questions. So you won't be able to submit it. You'll get an error. So we'll get into some of the sections that are tricky for the libraries. I'm not going to go through the entire report for everybody. So part 2, the library collection, like I said, this was a very positive change. They took e-materials completely out, moved it to another section. Library programs, policies, and services in part 3. The counts are reported exactly the same as last year. Nothing has changed. But they are asking if no programs were offered or attended to please report 0. Do not report not applicable. Don't try to leave it blank. Please report 0. If no data is available, you can also report missing. Summer reading, early and adult literacy, digital literacy, those are all counted twice, so. These are the special programming. So there's general questions for age group and for platform. Was it online, in person, hybrid? So you're gonna count all of your library programming as a whole there, the number of programs and the attendance. But some of those may also fall into the early literacy category. You're gonna count those same folks again under early literacy. So it will feel like you're counting people in programs twice, and that is correct. Should. Count them as live or pre-recorded. Combined audience is sometimes a question, programs intended, so it's your. Sometimes the best way to look at how to answer attendance for programming is who is the audience intended for. So if it's a parent and a child, if it's intended for them to come together and participate in the program, then you count both the parent and the child. If it's a program that was really just intended for children, then just count the children that showed up. If you may choose to count something as a combined audience, if a 15-year-old brings their 5-year-old younger sibling to a program, you may choose to count both of them. If they both participated, that's fine. I think most importantly that it's consistent from year to year for your library. I put this page on there because it's a really good, there's a ton of information. I'm not going to read it, but sometimes people wonder if a program is actually considered a program. It should be funded by the library, it should be staffed by somebody from the library, and it should be for the patrons. So they always use the example that if you're going to the local farmer's market just to set up the table and promote your library so that you can get more patrons, that doesn't count. That's not a program.
Would that count as something else somewhere else?
Don't think so. Not that I can.
What if you go to the local farmer's market and then you have a story time and a craft? That's a program.
That's a program.
So that's the
If it's
distinction.
right. Right. It's not promoting the library,
Right.
it's actually providing staffed program that's funded by the library or in part funded by the library for the patrons.
We gave out sheets for scavenger hunts. They didn't get a prize at the end.
That's program. So let me back up real quick. This is in the instructions inside of Collect Connect, and it's helpful for answering questions exactly like that. I'm going the wrong one. Part 4, library transactions. Total reference transaction notes have been revised for clarification. One thing I forgot to show. Oh no. Is the help icon inside your report right here? No.
This is the question mark?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, right below.
This brings you, it shows you exactly what's on that 42-page instruction sheet, but they've linked it to each question. So you can click the little question mark and it'll give you the answer right there. So you don't have to keep looking for it inside that large document. We were still here. So part 5, again, 22 new questions. They're not required, but strongly recommended. We only are reporting circulation numbers only for everything. Not holdings. So it's much simpler. If you haven't seen it yet, you'll love it. Polaris report instructions to answer the consortium in New York State Library questions. That's the reason, and when you see the questions, I included so many how to answer yes, no on our report instructions guide that we provided. It's the consortium in New York State Library questions. Even when I went to the webinar, directors were questioning, or the system folks were questioning, like, what is that? And they recommended, I believe, mostly no. Bill and I went through and tried to answer these the way we felt the libraries are going to answer them. That's the one that I want feedback on if you have any questions. Part 6 is staff information. Showing this slide because it has the infamous full-time equivalent question on it. On the left is the Excel cheat sheet that I included in my email. The yellow highlighted cells are where you're going to put your numbers, the total hours that each of your staff worked through the year or for a week. And then the column on the right is how you're going to answer it in the report. So if 35 hours is full-time equivalent for your library and your library manager works 25 hours a week, the answer in the report is going to be 0.71. And that's for question 6.6. So I have questions over here on the left.
What's the difference between certified and non-certified?
Who wants to answer that? Colleen?
Master's degree, this is certified. That's my question, or not a master's, but a library manager is the uncertified.
I have a slide for that too.
Okay,
Are you sure it's not state certified?
I'm pretty sure it's, unless they changed it, it's always been a manager is not certified, no masters, and the other one is. We can get to it, but it's always been that way, unless they change something.
And isn't this different, like the full-time equivalent, I thought we had to work off of 40 hours.
You work off
Not
what,
thirty.
you work off what your full-time is at your library.
Okay.
Some
It-
libraries full-time.
What it does is it takes a 35-hour week and makes it a full-time equivalent to 40 hours.
But you go by what your full-time is. If you have a full-time person that's 40, it's 40, we're 35, some people are 37.5.
37.5,
Yeah,
yeah,
then you use that for you.
so I use that.
Yes.
Yep, so in that top square where it says 35, you put your 37.5.
So that's gonna be different from last year, because I
We
think
might
I
need
did
to
it
know.
off of 40 hours, and then obviously it was less than 1 because
Okay,
I'm 37.
so we'll add a note.
Okay.
And then you can do it that way going forward. And then over on the right-hand side is just another example of if the 40 hours is considered full-time. I can't, this thing is driving me. Minimum standards, so. I spend a lot of time on minimum standards. When I go through and I look at the reports, because this is the section that will. Cause you to have to get a variance or request a variance. Every library in the system should be meeting all of the minimum standards every year. It's not detrimental if you don't. Because we have to apply for a variance, we will, and all that does is explain why a minimum standard hasn't been met, how it will be met, and when it will be met. But if you have, if you can honestly answer yes to all of the standards, you won't get a variance. If, like, let's say that your annual plan or your 5-year plan isn't on your website as of December 31st, 2023, so you're gonna have to answer no. But then let me know that I did it just now, so it's there, then we don't have to do a variance. So look, the state is gonna reach out to me, but I'm gonna say that's been completed, it's good now. So it doesn't, just because you may have to answer no as of December 31st, that's 2024, sorry about that. Doesn't mean that you can't correct it, you still have time to correct it, get up to the minimum standard. And then we'll report back to the state that it's good. And not meeting the same variance year after year. Can trigger a library to lose their registration. Again, I have never seen that. So these minimum standards are really important. These are the ones that some of our libraries get tripped up on the most. It's what you have to have posted on your library's website. your up-to-date bylaws. They get reviewed and approved every 5 years. So I'm literally going to all of your websites and I'm looking for these 5 things. Your current long-range plan of service, your 2023 annual report to the community. It's not possible to have your 2024 report there as of December 31st because it should be posted after the year has concluded. So you should have 2023 there now, and sometime during 2025, you're gonna post your 2024 annual report. Up-to-date policies for operations. Those also should be reviewed and reapproved every 5 years, and your 2024 budget. So if you have your 2025 budget there, that's great. That's even better, but we need to have at least your 2024 budget on there and your 2023.
Now, is there someone with a fiscal year, like we're July 1st to June 30th, it would be fiscal 24, 25.
Yes. 7.7 is the number of hours your library is required to be open. It's based on the 2020 census. And that is it's in the first part. Question 1.24 is your population charter to serve. It's based on the 2020 census. It's a locked field. The state puts it in there and you can't change it. But if you're wondering what your population is, that's where you're going to find it. It's going to be in question 1.24. And these are the hours that and this is on average. This isn't every single week here. So there may be instances where you had a flood and you weren't open for the minimum hours at one particular week. That's fine. And then that census also answers this question, which is about the paid director that you were asking about, Marion. So if you're a member of a public library system, a bachelor's degree from an approved college or university, if your population falls between 5,000 and 7,199. And then this just says public librarians, professional certificate.
And you did a graduate degree to get that. So like to get that certificate, you have to have your graduate degree from library science. And if you haven't gotten that because you're new to public libraries, maybe you have the graduate degree, but you're ready to apply for that, then that's the only in between that could happen.
Okay.
I think she'd have a note.
Another question that's come up in the past is, I thought I was a director, I didn't know I was a library manager. That's fine. Your library board may choose to call you the director, but on the report, if you don't have the bachelor's degree, you're a library manager.
I thought the bachelor's degree was for the manager position.
That may be true. I'm trying in my head real quick to.
That's what it was explained to me, at least for, with civil service requirements, that because of our population size, the manager, director, whatever you want to, has to have a minimum requirements, a bachelor's degree.
My point is just that what they call it in the New York State report might be different than what your board calls it.
Yeah, they'd like to interchange the two.
Any comments on that?
Follow that for answering that.
For answering.
They
the
want to
report.
call you the queen of your library, they can, but for answering this,
No,
You have
they
to-
just call me Marion the librarian, so.
well, that's all.
That's perfect. Public service information. Minimum weekly total hours based on population, again, right back to that Q.124. Annual hours open. There's this one section that I check on our report, service outlet information. Public service hours should match 8.13. The only time it's different, I believe, is if you have a branch and the only library in our system that has a branch is Round Lake and Alpha. So for 33 other libraries, 8.9, 9.15 and 8.13 should match. So I'm going to check to make sure they match. And then I don't know if my brain can go here right now, but public hours per year. Question 2.15 divided by 52 weeks open would equal 40. That should match your minimum standards on that prior chart. So I'm checking that as well. All right, officers and trustees, we've gotten the libraries have worked really hard on this and it's gotten much better. The first thing to note is that and when you look in the headings of the questions, this is where it trips some people up, but the meetings they want you to report as of 2024. How many meetings did you have during the year as of 12/31? But when you're talking about the officers and the board members, they want you to answer as of February 1st, 2025. And they do that because many boards come on new in January. There must be a record for each voting position as stated in your bylaws. So if your bylaws say the board is to be made up of 5 members, then you need to report a section for all 5 terms or all 5 board members. If you've got 3, you're gonna list 3 trustees and 2 vacancies. You have to have if that's the case, there's a way to report a vacancy on it. And it's as of it's as of 2/1/2025. So maybe you had a vacancy in January, but then you just added a member, don't count that member yet because they came on after 2/1. Terms should all end in the same month. So we're not looking at Joe Schmo left the board in July. So that's the end of his term. That's not how it works. The end of his term might have actually been December and now you have somebody else filling it or it went vacant. You're going by the term. And they should all be the same for every single board, not member, but term. I think of them as seats. And what are the term dates for that seat? Trustee term should be equal to or less than the term reported in 10.5, so that's also in your bylaws. The term length may be 5 years. So if the terms should be 5 years long in your report, because you're going to report that for each trustee. Trustees not serving a full term, add a note and identify who the previous trustee is. So if Jane just came on board to fill the remainder of Joe's term, you're going to add a note with that information that Joe left, Jane's the new trustee. And oath of office needs to be filed with your town or city clerk within 30 days. I feel like that's different between like a public or
Yeah,
municipal.
associations, libraries don't have to do.
Which one? Association libraries don't have to? I need to add my note. Parts 11 and 12. So these are finances and can be the trickiest part. For the folks that are doing the report. Let's start with the sheet provided, the grant payments to member library. Maybe this information is going to be helpful. Remember to check the dates. If you don't have a calendar fiscal year for your library, it'll change your answers. If you need last year's report, let me know. So part 11 is all of the money that your library started with and took in over the year. And your operating fund disbursements is all of the, what you have left over and everything that you put out. Put a couple notes in here where certain things are gonna go, like 12.7 electronic material expenditures. That's where the overdrive funds that you paid to SALS will go. And the JA monthly JA fees that you pay will go in question 12.25. So this is kind of an overview of how to big picture think of the financial section. So you're going to look at the cash that you started with at the beginning of 2024. Let's just do calendar year to keep it simple. So say you started with $1,000 on January 1st. And then you're going to add transfers from other accounts into your operating funds and any cash that came in during your year. So say you started with $1,000, you added 15,000, you now have $16,000 that you have to account for in part 12. So part 11 is usually pretty easy. Part 12 is where people are trying to balance it to part 11. So you've got $16,000 that you need to report in part 12. Part of that is gonna be left over, like in this example, $4,000 is still in the account, so that's your ending balance for 2024. That means you disperse $12,000 somewhere. So you're gonna report it in part 12, all the places you dispersed that $12,000. And that's how you get 11.26 and 12.4 to match. That's the big overview picture of the financial sections. It's what you took in and what you sent out should be the same. The final question is required. It's suggested improvements. And I'm gonna plug this hard because all of the improvements that they've made have come from the feedback from the libraries. I really do believe they listen and it may take time for them to implement changes, but they made some really good changes in the report this year. They're not looking for, New York State annual report is not fun kind of comments. They really are looking for constructive comments. But you have to answer something. If you don't want to answer anything, please just put none. And then when you're ready to submit the report, you're going to get this page. And there's 3 tabs right here that could trip you up. There's edit checks, unanswered questions, or flagged questions. Those are questions that you flagged because you wanted to go back and either answer them differently or answer them at all. So once you get green checks on all of these, if there's no flagged questions, you've answered everything and all of their edit checks are green checks, you'll be able to submit it, no problem. If not, then you need to go back and correct. And then you'll get this wonderful, congratulations, your survey was submitted successfully. Which is really exciting. If you've never done a report before. You don't have to let me know when it's done, because I've been there pretty much every day looking, but if you do, shoot me a quick email. It'll just give me a heads up and then I'll get to it as soon as I can. So I check them in the order that they get submitted. Questions and answers, I'm gonna open the floor. Peter?
Quick question, you mentioned Excel, you put the numbers in, how does that work? I didn't see you in your charts mentioning Excel at all. How do I put the numbers into Excel, move them?
I sent them the Excel document
Oh,
in the email.
okay,
So it's an attachment for the FTE or for the financial section. So assuming you have Excel program on your computer, you should be able to open it and use it.
and then put the information there, all right.
If you need help with it, let me know. I love Excel, so.
Love Excel.
As long as you know what you're doing, it's fine.
Right. Yeah, the FTE calculator is pretty simple. That one's not hard to use. The financial one might be confusing to somebody that isn't accustomed to using Excel. It can also, it's not required. It's a tool to help make the financial section easier. You can just put the numbers right in. I just feel that the report is kind of cumbersome because you have to scroll and there's different pages and then it doesn't match and you have to, it's just harder. You could also just do it on a piece of paper by hand. Some people do like a profit and loss report and they write next to each line item, what question they're gonna put it in.
Good idea.
If anybody in, online on Zoom has questions, I'm looking at the chat, please.
Pamela, this is Jennifer from the Easton Library. This is a small detail, but when I went to log in this morning for the first time. It did not ask me for an email password. I mean, it just logged me right in. Am I doing something wrong?
I'm gonna say no, but I'll ask the DLD about that. And I
Okay,
noticed that Faith logged in and I didn't see an email or phone number.
yeah, it just let me
No, I
right
did.
in.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
But when I was in it, remember it showed that there was somebody else that didn't show me what your,
I think we logged in almost simultaneously,
Oh, okay.
so I just don't think it had time to catch up with.
I will
what's
say,
going on, But I
I,
did put it in.
I logged into a different library while I was
Mhm.
sitting here, because I wanted to print the instructions, and it asked me to do that,
okay,
Waterford.
so Colleen did
It worked
get
for
it.
Waterford.
So I'll find out if, I need to log into Waterford.
What's
Oh,
that?
I have that.
Okay. I didn't.
I have it.
That's right there.
So I'm sitting here
Thought I had it.
Actually, already did. I know.
Pamela, this is Jennifer again.
Hi.
I have another question.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
get into that.
Um, Last year's, I don't know if it was you, but somebody was able to get
I'm
me.
having a hard time hearing you, Jennifer. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Do you want me to just put it into the chat?
I turned up the speaker. Let's see. Try again, please.
I can put it into the chat. Do you want me to
Okay,
just
that's
do
fine
that?
too.
Okay, all right, I'll do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did that work?
Yeah, that's.
It is what's that? Let's see if it works.
I do have a few questions about what would count as programs, maybe what wouldn't. So like giving out the eclipse classes, would that count? Is it?
Did you count the attendees?
Or we count the number of classes we gave out?
Did anybody, was there any staff present when they used them?
Oh,
Maybe
stuff.
not,
I
yeah.
mean, there were a couple of people that were at the library when we used them.
Did they report anything back?
No.
Yeah, I don't think I'd count that one, but you could count each of those as an attendee to the library. So there is a question for like total annual attendance.
They would have been in the county. We would really like take it big or that.
There is, that's still in there.
And so, I mean, depending on what you included, if it's just glasses, I guess not, but if you included any kind of like activity materials with the glasses, that would be a take and
Take
make.
and make, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
If it came with like a guide to watching the solar system or the solar eclipse or information on the solar eclipse that went with the glasses.
Let me try to phone
Okay. It's different.
them. I still can't get in.
Things, not like every.
It's giving me,
Hi, gonna come help you.
So if the answer space is grayed out, then I can't do anything to it, correct?
The what's.
Where the answer is, it looks, some of them are gray, then
They're locked.
they're locked, okay.
okay,
That's
here
what
I
I
am.
Last year, someone helped me obtain stats from Hoopla to complete the AR for our library. Would I be able to get that information again
Yeah, so.
this year?
You can get in the URL.
Oh,
I don't think so because it's not based on,
I'm getting the URL.
all right, thanks.
I think the difference there is the circulation versus holdings and the information you're going to need for Hoopla in your report this year, you're gonna have to get. I don't think it's something that this, our system has. But I will check that for you. Thank you, Susan. Susan shows where you should be able to get the stats for Hoopla.
I could have. You back to me.
What, we're down, do you use this browser? What browser are you using?
I usually use, Google Chrome. There's Google.
Yep, so you were on a different.
All right. So at this point, I think I'm gonna end the meeting.
I should be able to do that.
They have Google.
Thank you very much to everybody that
There was
joined
some other
online.
login of some other version of, like, this is it.
Yes,
Fully
yes, yes.
work on your annual
So now you click
today.
log in, so you get it.
And if you have any questions, please reach out to
Just
me.
like what I've got at home.
Sure is. Your lunch right there.
How do you get it? Thank you. It worked, yeah.
And I.